For those that don't know, Faiz Jacobs here, Member of Parliament. I'm on this side of the fence. We are at the Strandfontein concentration camp. We received a SMS this morning that there will be a multi-party oversight meeting in the Strandfontein camp. I then came here and then there was a whole lots of problems about the mayor said that we were allowed and then JP said we weren't allowed to come in. And then I walked in. So I'm on this side of the fence. I'm here by the police side of the fence. We walked in. I'm the only one that's standing this side of the fence. You'll see most of the people are standing that side. I want the oversight visit here. I want to ensure that we do our oversight role and play that oversight role responsibility. So I was at home. I don't know who said yes, stay home. I just came from home. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I respect this, but I also have a responsibility as a member of parliament to ensure that we provide oversight. We are in a national crisis, a national pandemic, which means that there's a national command led by our president, our beloved President Cyril Ramaphosa. He told us that we are, as parliamentarians, we play an oversight role and responsibility. So this camp is part of a national process, but almost for 2 weeks now, the city is not allowing anyone from the province, provincial oversight, or even national oversight. So the city is showing us as members of parliament the middle finger. First it was they will make arrangements, then we come, then JP is not answering it. But in fact, this is managed by JP's team. JP's team by the Metro Police, and they are quite instrumental in just keeping the peace here. They are looking at keeping the gate, so there's no political oversight. They are also just ensuring that they stick to the rules of the camp. Our job here is to ensure that we get to the bottom. Now here has been a Doctors Borders Without Frontiers. They were here and they did their own report. They were tasked to brief us as members of parliament, members of the provincial legislature and councillors. They were tasked to brief us in the tent, and we made arrangements only to find out that we are not allowed to go in further for security reasons. Now look, I don't pose a security risk. My face is closed. I don't bear any arms. But what I do bear is my eyes to see what's happening here and my mouth to speak against injustices. So this is what we are doing now. We are wanting to get a proper review of what is happening in this camp. We've spoken to some of the snippets here that the Doctors Without Borders came here and said that there's one tent where there's more than 600 people staying in one tent. That in itself is a clear violation of the national prescription, which says no place must have more than 100 people in. So clearly we need to charge the city and JP Smith and all of the leadership of the city for making this a pandemic hotbed. This is a potential risk to not me and you only, but to all of these poor law enforcement people that's standing here. They are all potential at risk because there's a big pandemic around here. So I think that for us is a big challenge. We don't want to play politics. We want to ensure that there's area of room for improvement, that there's area for negotiations. I think this team is coming here for me. I'm not sure if they're coming for me. Let's see. Oh no, they're just standing around. Okay, so our role here is just to ensure that we play our oversight role. We want this camp to be improved. We want to ensure that the people that's on the camps here, we heard that the women are not safe. There's a group of women that says to the doctors that there's no separation of toilets. It's as if there's a prison mentality. There's sex for trade here. People are selling sex for 20 rand. There's cigarettes that's being sold here, contraband that's being sold. So that's what's happening on this camp. It can't be. And now we, as the public it's my duty and my responsibility to ensure that we play that oversight role. So that's what we're doing here. I'm not going to leave here. I feel I'm in prison, and that's where the journalists are, and that's where the doctors are, that's where everybody is. Let's see what they are doing there. The doctor's giving them a briefing. I asked about the rehabilitation because a lot of the people that's in the camp are immune resistant people that are low immune. People are saying that their meds is running out, the chronic meds are running out. There is people that is on TB, IRV medicine that don't have, and also there's no health facility, health doctor on camp during the evening. So this is a ticking time bomb for all of our people. I think that is a big problem. I've also asked Minister Beki Cele and Minister Noziviwe Akula, you're the Minister of Defense and our National Command, please come take over this place, because it's just a house of horrors. Our people are not allowed to go in here. The Metro Police are feeling that they are a law unto themselves. A national member of parliament for the South Africa. My constituency is this area, the Greater Athlone area. Your colleague did brief me on some of the things. We were tasked to get a full briefing inside. Maybe you just share with me from your side what was your findings and summaries in this place. Maybe introduce yourself first.
Yes, so my name is Dr. Gilles Van Kutsem.
Yeah.
I work for Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
You're taping me?
Yes, is it okay?
It's okay.
Thank you.
I've worked for 20 years as a humanitarian doctor, most of it in South Africa, treating people with HIV and TB, but also managing emergencies such as Ebola in Liberia or the cyclone in Mozambique, and internally displaced camps in several countries in Africa, and as well in South Africa.
Just move away from the noise.
As you know, the South African Human Rights Commission requested that I participate in an independent investigation on the health conditions in the Strandfontein shelter for the homeless, as it is being referred to. And so I don't know if you have access to the report from the South African Human Rights Commission. No? Okay, so the main findings on health are, first, that there is insufficient infection prevention and control measures in place to prevent a COVID outbreak or a TB outbreak, because there is insufficient ventilation in the tents, there is insufficient physical distancing in the tents, and you have up to 600 people grouped into one tent, and it is not possible to rule out that one of them has either TB or COVID, and if it were so, there would be an important risk for an outbreak amongst the 600. That is the most important finding. The second one is that people who are grouped here many of them are extremely vulnerable. You have drug users who had to interrupt abruptly heroin use, who had withdrawal symptoms. You had alcoholics. You have severe psychiatric disorders such as schizophrenia and dementia. You had elderly, demented people. You have disabled people in here. There were two people with urinary catheters, fecal incontinence. So those people not only are at higher risk of complications and death for COVID, but they're also just have more intense healthcare needs. Then we looked into healthcare provision in the camp, which is provided by City Health, the City of Cape Town Health Services, and with support from SHOCO,
yes,
the Student Health Community Centers.
Tell me, I'm told that there's one tent where there's 600 people in there. There's no social. Is that true?
there is so there is one tent with 600 people. That is absolutely true, and social distancing is insufficient. There is, I mean, there is very limited ventilation in those tents, and so that wasn't there on Saturday, but when I visited again on Wednesday, they had demarcated spaces of 2 meter by 2.5 meter for people to sleep, but those spaces are one next to each other, so you don't have 2 meter distance between every person as you should have for social distancing. And then in many occasions people are standing much closer than that. You have seen pictures of food distribution where people are in rows with extremely small distance, and I appreciate it's very difficult. Well, I think the food distribution, they could enforce proper social distancing, and then enforcing social distancing at all times with 600 homeless is not easy.
Tell me the allegations of rape and sex for monetary value. That's what we picked up. What have you picked up?
So, I mean, I can only say what I have heard. I have not witnessed that. I mean, we have heard that there was an alleged case of rape of a young woman, and we don't know yet whether she was 18 or 16. And well, actually, when I was there, she came with South African police to identify the alleged perpetrator. So I think the matter is in court. And then
is there any health facility on the camp? Is there in the evenings health?
No. So there is a medical tent on site with staff from the city from 8 to 4, and then at night, well, the last time I was here, there are no health services.
How much people in total is on the camp?
Around 1,600 people.
1,600?
Yes.
1,600 people a year. Was no doctor sleeping over, no facility online, and it's all immune deficient people, chronic recovering addicts, alcoholic, TB, ARV. I've also heard that ARV and TB patients are not getting or don't have sufficient supply of their medicine.
So several people did complain of that.
Yeah.
And because we were initially not allowed to speak to City Health, we haven't been able to verify whether that is true or not. I met with Dr. Badruddin on Wednesday, and he said medication for chronic conditions is available at the clinic. But then, of course, people still need, so that needs further investigation. I have no reason not to believe Dr. Badruddin. What is true is also that, I mean, what is certain is that during my visit I witnessed one elderly man with a urinary catheter and severe respiratory distress, and he was an asthmatic and he did not have asthma medication, and then
so clearly there wasn't adequate provisioning
for him. Not so there are people who are not accessing it. Is it because they are not accessing the clinic? Because
how can you access the clinic if you're in a concentration camp?
Well, so we're in a closed enclosure, so you have to negotiate with the NGOs that are the service providers so that they accompany you to the medical tent. Or at night, that is much more difficult. You have to negotiate with the security staff that is standing at the entry gate so that they call the camp management, so that the camp management calls an ambulance. And that can take, I mean, from my experience, it did take
Look,
hours.
Based on all of this, we are recommending that this camp be closed because there's clearly a lot of challenges. What are your findings, or what are your recommendations?
So we think that the camp should be decommissioned in a phased manner. Because it is now possible that people have been exposed to COVID, so just opening the doors of the camp would be irresponsible. And preferably to smaller sites where proper healthcare and infection control can be put in place, and also where specific support for specific groups of people is available. You could put, not aware of all the possibilities of the city and the province, but there are several psychiatric patients. You could imagine putting a tent next to a psychiatric hospital where if the psychiatric hospital is full, where these people have access to proper psychiatric care. You could do the same for drug users. There are some people that need actually respite care. I mean, people with fecal incontinence or urinary catheters can't just be